think it's obvious. We seduce the drawbridge.
Greetings, inanimate object. Would you like to engage in physical congress?
Yeah, I'm not even gonna make you roll for that. The drawbridge, it digs your flavor, baby.
Works every time.
Yo guys, what is up? Max in our Wonderlands video, and today we got our first hands-on preview look at Wonderlands. Now this is courtesy of IGN. IGN is doing their IGN First, where they're going to be getting a lot of the first gameplay and a lot of the first news to be covering on Wonderlands. And today they shared their first hands-on preview of the game, where we get to see a lot of new spells, weapons, and gameplay. And so I wanted to talk about that. If you guys haven't seen their video, I will leave it down in the description, but I'm going to be breaking down a lot of the things that they showed. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. All right, let's break down this video. First off, when you are fighting these undead enemies, these skeletons, this is a new enemy type that is being introduced in Wonderlands. And these enemies, the undead enemies, will actually have white armor bars. So we have red health bars, blue shock shield bars, yellow armor bars, and then the undead are their own type of armor bars or health bars, and they are white, and they will be taking more damage from cryo damage. So cryo is no longer the element that is good against yellow armor. It is now the element that is good against white undead enemies. It'll freeze their bones and make them shatter. Next up, we see some dark magic spells being used. When a dark magic spell hits an enemy, it'll send red orbs back to you. That is the health return from using the spell. Next up, we see the meteor skill. The meteor skill summons a giant meteor to fall down from a portal above and has crazy radius, and it has a pull effect, or at least this spell does. You can see when the player casts it in, like multiple times, enemies are getting yanked in, barrels are getting yanked into the radius, and the IGN reporter who was playing this says it did a ton of damage, which is really good to hear. I really hope that spells are as viable as guns and everything else. Next up, we get to see what looks like a Hellwalker. Now, this Hellwalker does not perform like a Hellwalker. It actually has a big targeting circle that you can rain down arrows, whether this is a secondary firing mode or the main firing mode, whatever it be. It looks pretty freaking awesome. We get to see some melee combat and the user using melee attacks against enemies. Now, one thing that I wanted to point out here is, one, that these melee attacks are doing elemental damage. Now, we know that there's a bunch of elemental damage types in this game for weapons and spells, but it has not been confirmed yet if melee weapons can come with elements attached. From the looks of it, I know that they're playing the Berserker, so maybe the Berserker has a skill that adds cryo damage to the melee. It's more than possible, but it does leave the possibility of melee weapons having different elements. Maybe you can have a poison dagger or a fire axe. I think that's totally in the realm of possibility, especially considering that melee weapons are going to be receiving the same RNG that weapons are created on. You also get a look at some of the crazy weapons. Of note, there is a dark magic SMG, and we know that it's dark magic because of the red and black effects that it's shooting. And also, when it's hitting enemies, you can see that there's these little red orbs that are flying back to the player, the same way that the dark magic spell earlier sent these orbs back, meaning that I think there's just going to be these dark magic guns with kind of innate lifesteal, which sounds very strong. Maybe they'll be replacing Moxie weapons. Maybe Moxie weapons will be dark magic weapons. We also get to see a green SMG, or a green weapon, shooting a laser beam. We know that corrosive is not in this game. It is being replaced by poison, but poison is or functions exactly the same as corrosive for all we know, as it works against yellow armor bars. We also get to see a secondary firing mode, or maybe it's the primary firing mode of this sniper rifle, which leaves a lightning tether that chains and hits multiple enemies. It looks like they're going over the top again with the weapons, not just the spells and melee, which is really cool to see. We also get a great look at the Berserker's action skills, which look absolutely crazy, both Feral Surge and Dreadwind. Dreadwind being the spinning attack and Feral Surge being the leap slam. I will have a video out on this tomorrow, hopefully, that's a lot more in-depth on multiclassing and goes over a lot of the multiclassing options and action skills. However, it was just confirmed by 2K that you can only use one action skill at a time. So while the Berserker has two action skills, both Dreadwind and the Feral Surge leap attack, you'll only be able to pick from one at a time, and you'll be able to swap kind of like on the fly, just like how you can in Borderlands 3. Like, you can swap between Gamma Burst and Fade Away, but you can't gamma burst and then go into fade away at the same time. You know what I mean? So one action skill at a time in this game. Guys, that is it for the first gameplay reveal. I will have a link to IGN's video on it if you guys want to go over and watch that. Overall, super excited by the gameplay, and the reviewer that played this and talked about it also wrote an article, which I will also link. And one of the biggest takeaways that they said is that it feels so good to play, that the gameplay, the mix of spells, guns, and melee, as well as all the loot that is going to be available, they're super excited for it, and all the fantasy elements are working really well together. So overall, stoked. I'm glad we got this gameplay reveal, and I'm looking forward to more reveals from IGN about this game. Hopefully we get some skill trees soon. Hopefully we learn more about how the end game is going to work. I cannot wait. I will catch y'all in the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.